Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Kultgen, and as you know, if you've been watching Traitors, Peacock is putting out these little 10-ish minute videos on YouTube of whoever the traitors or faithful, whoever basically got banished and murdered over the course of the most recent episode. They reveal to them who the traitors are, and they have them meet each other, and they do these little videos on YouTube that I've absolutely loved. This week, we saw, unfortunately, the murder of Sam, who was really growing on me. He was starting to show some signs that he understood how the game was played. And then, unfortunately, he popped his head up a little too high, and the traitors cut it off. And, of course, Carolyn, who is so far, I think, the standout star of this season. She has really elevated herself into the pantheon of great reality TV stars. And this is a lesson, I think, for incoming players to this game, to Traitors, and reality TV generally. It's not necessarily about winning whatever the prize of the certain specific game is. Bachelor, it's a ring or a crown. Traitors, it's winning the prize at the end. It's not necessarily about that. It really is more about establishing yourself as a bona fide reality star so that you get invited to the All-Star Traitor season, which I'm sure is going to happen in the next 5-ish, probably before 5 years. I would guess it's going to happen maybe by season 5. And also potentially any other of these third wave shows that are coming out, these kind of games that all these, the new, or the streaming networks are all going to have a new version of that coming out over the next year or two. So if you can get into those games, you can extend your career as a reality TV superstar for a decade maybe. And I think Carolyn has done that. So let's take a look at what we've got to see here. I'm so sad about this, by the way. I think everybody loved Carolyn, and she's been making the rounds. She's doing a podcast. She's doing the most. But let's take a look at what we've got here from the official Peacock exit video.
I could not form these bonds and then murder them.
That put a fire in my ability to catch the traitors.
I just wanted to walk around looking cute in a castle.
I got murdered by the traitors. It was the element of me just getting more vocal around the round table. And
he's 100% correct. And I think for Faithful's like a much harder game to play than Traitor because you have to play multiple games. You have to have multiple lies going on while you're trying to figure out who's a traitor. Traitors really only ever have to just lie to everybody that they're not traitors. And obviously, at least in this season, avoid infighting, which they've been terrible at doing. But I do think Sam is right here. He got too vocal too quick. You have to like pick your exact right time when you're going to do that. And also the idea that you need to be getting traitors out is just wrong. As a faithful, your job really is just identifying the traitors. You want to actually take them into the late end game with you because you need to be able to kick them out in the end phases to actually win the game. If you kick them out too early, you're going to get, as Boss and Rob would call it, sus on you, and the traitors will kill you. That's exactly what happened to him.
I was one of the most vocal ones left. So that's why I think it came down to me. I came into this game to have fun. And I came into this game to, do the missions, be competitive, but never really step on anybody's foot because that's not something that's cool in my books.
Danielle, and I don't care, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think that she is a monster. And I had to be a monster too as a traitor, but she took it to a whole nother level, trying to gain sympathy from other people, faking the tears, faking the
I agree with what Carolyn's saying right here as well. I think everybody knows Danielle's a traitor, and I think the faithful, I'm sure they've had conversations to this end that they're going to take Danielle to the end. Whatever faithful wind up going to the end, they will take Danielle, they will execute her. And I think, I don't know, we'll see what happens in this next week with Danielle trying to turn Brittany to her side, but I think they're going to kick her out. I think Danielle will ultimately lose, although she played a masterful game against Carolyn. There, say what you will about how she's playing, and I know there's a lot of conjecture and talk about she's swearing on her grandkids' lives, and is that outside the purview of what a traitor can do? In my mind, no. In my mind, anything goes. Traitors, the game of being a traitor is lying. Is there a lie that's too far for some people in terms of like a moralistic judgment? For me personally, no. If you're in there as a traitor, you can say anything you want to try and convince people that you are not a traitor. But I agree with what Carolyn is saying. Her overacting, I think, has given her away. Her tear play is off the charts, way over the top. The shaking, the falling to her knees and saying, "Oh, thank you, Jesus," when Carolyn got banished. I just think it's like it's way too much. The acting is like it's a little out there.
If I had to go up in that fucking turret with her one more goddamn time and fake that, I couldn't. I was not prepared for like
Even in her exit speech that they're just gonna throw on YouTube, she's giving the most. She just is the best. I mean, she just is literally the best. I'm gonna see. No, it is 1080p. Sorry, it just looked like it was a little out of focus.
all of the evidence that I had against her to be used to be flipped around on me. I wasn't. I said, I can't keep up with this. And I'm like, Dylan, you know this. What are you doing? Why are you just standing there? And he just stood there. But I didn't expect that from him. It hurt. It felt like, well, here I am once again, tripping over my words, stumbling over what I have to say, not being able to articulate anything, and nobody's listening. And
Coming into this game, it was very difficult to see where I was going to stand with some of these people, because they've known each other from reality. They've worked with each other on some other competition shows, and they only knew of me maybe through the media. I like to stay private when
It's an interesting point he's bringing up. Like, and they do this on Traitors. Obviously, in season 1, they had literal civilians, just like people who applied to be in the show mixed in with reality stars. Then season 2 is where the whole thing exploded. They put only reality stars with 1 or 2 people who weren't. There was, I believe, no, maybe that was season 1. There was a boxer in one of the seasons who self-eliminated because he couldn't take the pressure of it. But they've also slotted in people like in season 2, there was John, the dude who was the British dude who was the Speaker of the House of Parliament for 10 years or whatever. That's not a reality star. It's a very public figure, but not a reality star. So he has a different attitude about coming into this game, which requires you to have some kind of certain understanding of reality TV show mechanics that he may not have had. This season, we're getting that through Lord Ivar Mountbatten, who is a British royal that I don't think knows anything about reality TV and doesn't really even seem to care that he's on this reality show, to be honest, which I find hilarious. But I think Sam had a similar kind of thing. Yeah, he's a celebrity of a sort, of a type, connected to a much bigger celebrity, but he's never been in the reality TV world and never played a reality TV game. And I think that can be detrimental in some way, but it also, I mean, with him, we're seeing that the Traitors executed him, but with John and with Ivar, you almost get a kind of floater free pass for a little while, because the other reality players, whether they're gamers or love shows or Bravo celebrities, they kind of don't know what to make of you, but they never perceive you as a threat. So I actually think early game, it's very beneficial to be somebody who doesn't have any kind of trappings of like, I've already seen you on TV and kind of know what your play style is. But like he was saying in the early part of this video, he popped his head up too far, too fast, and they cut it off.
When it comes to my personal life, and I like to keep the past and celebrate the past, and I like to just be my genuine self, and that's what really made me successful at gaining everybody's trust.
I'm hurt because I really feel like I was so close. Like I could have won.
Yes.
And this is like, I don't want to be mad at myself, but I am. In order for me to even be a traitor and do what I was doing, I had to like just completely disconnect. It was too hard, and I could not look at certain people and form these bonds with them and then murder them. Oh, I just wanted to like walk around and looking cute in a castle.
There was a few people that...
That's interesting. So she's bringing up the emotional side of this. Like, this game is, I think the show is so successful because this game kind of expertly blends a need to know game mechanics, like from the gamers, like a Survivor Big Brother type mentality, with this emotional context of making friends and who can you trust and don't betray people. Even though that's what the game literally is, there still is that element of it. And here she's saying that that affected her. Coming from Survivor, you might not expect that. But I mean, Survivor has elements of that too, so does Big Brother. It's not quite like Traitors, though, I have to say, because in those other games, in Survivor and Big Brother, everybody starts out on the same playing field. You all come in, and it's like, you know, you're going to have to do challenges and form alliances and, you know, do all these things, and maybe you'll have to screw somebody over eventually. But you're all kind of like on the same level, and it really is more of a game of attrition, where you're just trying to I mean, in Survivor, the word outlast is literally in the slogan. So this game, immediately, 3 people, or at least in this season, are chosen to be adversarial to the other players. You're immediately split into 2 teams, and you know one of them is trying to eliminate you at all costs. So it is slightly different in that way.
I really thought were traitors that came out to be faithfuls. That just made me understand how difficult the game was. It made me upset that they had to go, so that put a fire in my belly to catch the traitors. The day that we got Boston Rob, but that day was the day that I was fully in it. And at the round table, it was enough listening. There was a lot of facts, and it was time to vote for someone. So that was the most certain I've ever been. That was one of my favorite days in the castle. I think some of the traitors are definitely Gabby and Dolores.
Wrong and wrong.
Okay. The traitors are, oh my God, Danielle. Danielle's reactions, her nervousness was not genuine. One of the biggest thing in acting and in real life, when you cry, it's a vulnerable moment, so you kind of hide it. But if you do want people to see it, like a baby would, they kind of cry out loud. It's a form of communication. So she
Like
was
a
always
baby.
crying out loud. That's why it was never genuine for me.
She was
All the
doing
other
baby
people
play.
that she was super close to, she was really lying to them. Desperate times calls for desperate measures, so that's what she did.
I don't want her to win. I wanted to bring Gabby in because I was like, I just want to have fun. That's all I wanted to do this whole game.
God, can you imagine that alternate universe where Danielle loses that round table and it's Carolyn brings in Gabby to be the next traitor? Then we would have had a clean sweep so far. All 3 seasons would have seen a Bachelor player as the traitor recruit in late season. That's not happening this season, but I'm kind of okay with that because I would like to see Gabby make it to the finals, and she might. I think she really has a shot to do it. But I agree with what Carolyn's saying here. I mean, hats off to Danielle, though. And I know some people like literally hate her and think she's a bad person and all this, whatever. She played Carolyn like a fiddle. She destroyed her in this round table and even got Carolyn to, at least through the edit, put her own name on one of those chess pieces. Now, I haven't heard this, but I've seen some rumors that Danielle also put her name on one of those things and it just wasn't in the edit. So you also have to take into account, this is a reality show you're watching. So whatever's on the screen is being put there by producers to convey some kind of narrative, and it's not always going to be exactly what happened in the game. They're trying to create a TV show that is entertaining. What is interesting about Traitors is they allow all these players to go on and talk about the things that were left out of the edit or what really happened. And I think that is exactly what all reality TV shows should be doing with their players. Let them go on podcasts, let them make their own podcasts, let them do YouTube videos and talk about whatever they want. But you see Love is Blind, when you try to do that, a la Renee Pochet, she gets slapped with a $4 million lawsuit from Kinetic Content and Netflix. You see Bachelor players, they have a 2-year window, or at least the leads. The regular players have a 1-year window from the air date of the final episode of whatever season they were in until 1 year later. They don't get to make any decisions about which podcast they can go on or not. The producers do. And I just think it's the wrong way to promote reality TV in 2025.
Is have fun, but I'm working with people that just weren't.
Wow. Caroline, I'm very surprised by this because she was always so genuine. The crying wasn't there as much, so I do think Caroline was a better traitor than Danielle. But Caroline did fly under the radar and no one was suspecting Caroline.
Maybe I would have done better as a faithful. No, I did great.
She wasn't a better traitor, though. She literally went head to head against Danielle and lost. Again, though, it's hard to say, like, is it good or bad? Because really, once you get to this point in Traitors, you're playing like a long game. You really have to be thinking about what's going to happen in the finals. Who do I want to be standing across from? And if most of the faithful know Danielle is a traitor, she's done. They'll take her to the finals, execute her, and then a faithful will win. And I don't know if that would have happened with Carolyn. I think she could have tricked people.
And I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. I didn't think that I would get this far. This is hard. It's fucking hard. It's harder than Survivor. Boston Rob said the same thing. First of all, I was shocked to even be here.
Yeah.
I'm not some Survivor legend. You know what? I can have conversations with Boston.
She is now. She's a reality TV legend now. And I agree with what she's saying about it being harder than Survivor and Big Brother, because in those games, it's like there's an acceptance of what it is because those shows have been on the air for so long. I think because we're just in season 3 of the US version of this, and I think UK is up to season 6 maybe or 7, it's still a relatively new show. And obviously, you know, 20 years into this, it will be a different story. The game will be played differently because of what these players are doing now. But I think still people are trying to kind of figure out what this even is. And so when you come into it and it's like you have your training from whatever reality franchise you came from, but, well, I will say this. I was about to say there's not a lot of training for this show, but there is, and I'm doing it. I will just say that right now is kind of like the foundational work is being laid kind of by people like me who are really scrutinizing this and helping players get ready for the next few seasons. There are just game mechanics that I think none of these players are currently aware of. And they're just kind of going in and flying by the seat of their pants and hoping that whatever they did in their old shows has trained them enough to make it far in this. But that doesn't usually happen. I mean, maybe it did with Sari in season 1, but you saw Boston Rob got annihilated in this. And he's one of the greatest Survivor players to have ever lived.
And Rob and Jeremy and Tony, and I can fit in with them too. I belong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a survivor too. I'm great.
But she's missing something. She's more than that. She's a reality TV star. She could have her own reality show, in my opinion. And I think everybody who saw this season of Traitors would watch every episode of it. Like, in my opinion, it's great to be a champion from one of these other games. And those are cool feathers to have in your cap, for sure. I'm not discounting that. And each of those games has their own obstacles you have to overcome and strategies and the ways to play them. And different people have like made works of art out of entire seasons in those franchises. This is something different. And I think being a reality star kind of on the bigger scale is a much more important thing than winning any of these other individual games, even if you've done it multiple times. Can you transition from that to becoming a reality star where you can now go on any show you want forever? And I think she, so far this season, has done that.
I really am. Like, this was amazing. It was.
I mean, Alan picked the 2 most nervous people to be traitors. These 2 were so obvious that I definitely know I'm not good at this game. And I think the end of this season is going to be really interesting.
I agree.
We have someone here to see you. The person after you, who's Spanish.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, God.
Come over here, you traitor.
You already know that I'm a traitor.
Of course. How you doing? I would have never guessed. Okay.
Isn't this crazy? Like, as a
crazy.
faithful, you're probably thinking, and you probably, yes, never suspected me because how did you view me in the game? Just be real.
I think you were the least person I suspected, which means I think you played it better than Danielle because she was not genuine.
Like, I cried a lot, but it was like genuine and real. And so when I
So genuine, so real, Madison Pruitt. I don't know if she played it better than Danielle. You can't say that because Danielle literally executed her in a one-on-one roundtable showdown. Danielle played the game better than she did because she is making it further into the game. Had that not happened, I think Carolyn could have become a champion of this game, but it did happen. And Danielle recognized she needed to get her out, and she got her out.
saw the fake tears and her
That was all fake.
all fake.
Really? So she's here to win, and she'll do whatever it takes, lie, cry. I told
And lying,
everyone.
I get. You might need to lie sometimes. She was basically trying to get me, and so I needed to get her before she got
Before she
me.
got you.
Nobody listens to me, or when I speak up.
They
it's not-
shouldn't believe you.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly.
It
No,
was happening
girl,
right in front of us.
I know, but I'm somebody like the same reasons you like don't suspect me of being a traitor. It's like when I actually needed people to like listen, they're not gonna listen. Where you were
Good.
at that round table.
That's why you were a good pick. They picked a good one. Well, was it Danielle's vote to murder me, or was it you?
So I had like kind of didn't know if I wanted to murder you because you had said like Danielle's next. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
she was
yes, I'll finally get somebody
Yeah,
to be on board.
You should have waited one more day.
I know, and it's true. I thought about that. I'm like, crap. I was getting sick of your ass. Like you were getting too smart, and
Yes.
like you were. It was like shut up, and also people like saw you as faithful.
It's not that I was getting smart. I was just saving it for last.
People had said you were playing the smartest game. That's what people
Really?
had said at breakfast when you didn't show up.
But were they sad when I was gone?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
But you
good.
were too smart.
Wait, did
Yeah.
you tell Alan you wanted to be a traitor?
Hell yeah! Did
You
you?
did?
Did you not?
Of course not. What do you mean?
Look at her face.
So
You
there's two.
literally said you didn't want to be a traitor.
Yeah,
Why?
because I didn't want to be a traitor. The last 2 nights at the castle, you have to be really desperate, and you have to do really desperate things. That's why I never chose to be a traitor. I think for you, it would have been hard too, as well.
I needed to hear that.
It's interesting that, you know, your personality and kind of how you think you could play in the game does come into play when they have those interviews. And I think they got to do away with that. It's got to be randomized because I'll say this. There is a strategy that I believe, I don't know if anybody's employed it yet, but basically you have kind of the better half of a day before traitors are selected, where all the players show up to the castle, they meet one another for the first time, they start talking. In that moment, you can kind of convey, I don't want to be a traitor. I think it would be too hard. I want to be a faithful. Then you get in the meeting with Alan Cumming and you're like, I want to be a traitor. I'll kill everybody. And you can kind of set up almost before the game starts that you wanted to be a faithful. I don't know if he did that or not, but traitor is the easier game to play. And I think going into this, if you're looking to win, you should always want to be a traitor. You get more screen time, you have more control over the game, and statistically your odds are much lower that you're going to get kicked out in a banishing than any other faithful.
Okay? I needed to hear that because truthfully, there are things that I just know I can't do. And
Yeah.
I can't look
How
people
did you
in the
sleep
eyes.
at night?
Horribly. I felt crap. Like, you know how bad I felt about Tony? I was bawling my eyes out.
Really?
Wow.
If you go back, would you choose to be a traitor or faithful?
Hell no, I'm a faithful. Like, this is
So
way
you just
too hard.
you asked me, you're like, why would you tell Alan you want to be faithful? This is why. This is why. This is exactly why.
Thank you. It's true.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not me.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to know who you want to win.
Who I want to win? Ivar. I want Ivar to win.
What?
Yes, because you listen, like from
You want
this,
the Lord to win?
yeah, of course, why not? But who knows? I think it's gonna get really messy.
He's so calm that he's like calming me down, and it's like maybe I should be like that too.
It would be if you were faithful. Do you have any questions for the faithfuls?
Why didn't anyone listen to me?
Because you're a traitor. I think if I was at that round table, it would have been a different idea. I had plans for Danielle the next day. Her time should have been your night of banishment.
Thank you.
But if it didn't
Exactly.
happen then, it's not gonna happen. Yeah.
You shouldn't
Wow.
have been murdered yet. It's
Yeah.
the truth.
If you were, I don't think you were very smart with your moves. Otherwise, you would have kept me around, and you would have had me do that and then murder me. Any other questions?
Wow, that was a great one. I mean, he's kind of right, but he got too smart too quick, and that's what happens to you. Hats off to Carolyn. She played a fantastic season. So did Sam, honestly. He started to come on strong there right before they killed him. But Carolyn really turned in one of the most memorable traitor performances we have ever seen in this show. I think she will be studied throughout the history of this show, which I assume will be at least for another 100 years. So thank you for joining me. I'll be covering Traitors all throughout this entire season. If you want to watch Traitors with me, where I break down literally every play that happens as it happens, subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gameofroses.